What is up guys, Coach Matt here, and as promised we did top 3 tips to help you gain weight. Today we're going to cover top 3 tips to help you lose weight. So before I start off with the first real tip, I am going to give you guys the same kind of advice I gave the weight gain people, and that is to keep things patient, keep things slow, and keep things realistic. And I think that applies more so to weight loss in the fact that if you cut calories too drastically, it is going to have effects on your energy levels, and it is going to have you feeling miserable. So I do feel like being patient here is going to be something that's more critical with weight loss than it would be with weight gains. I recommend shooting for losing no more than 1 pound per week, and what 1 pound looks like is approximately 500 calorie deficit under your maintenance calories. So whatever calories you need to maintain your current weight, 500 calories under that would lose you approximately 1 pound per week. And I would recommend not going above that. Now that's if you're just looking to lose weight relatively quickly. I would actually recommend taking this one step further, shooting for the long term and shooting for an even lower deficit of around 250 to 300 calories per day. That's gonna lose you about a ½ pound per week, and you're not gonna feel that as much in terms of losing energy level or feeling like you haven't had as much food to eat in a given day. It's gonna have you feeling better day to day. It is gonna be slower, but it's going to be more maintainable over a long period of time. So just tune out all the magazines that have said, oh, so-and-so lost 10 pounds in a week, or so-and-so lost 30 pounds in a month. There are so many tricks and stipulations involved, and a lot of this isn't either 1, realistic, or 2, sustainable for any long period of time. So just tune that stuff out, take things slow, make things nice and realistic for yourself, and make things easy for yourself to sustain over a long period of time. And that is driving us actually into tip number 1, which is to keep things sustainable. So many times I hear people talk about how they're gonna diet hard for 3 months, even if it makes them miserable, even if they're super unhappy during it, hit their goal weight, and they're done. And that's it, it's over, right? Well, what happens on month 4? They're gonna wing it, hope that all your hard work sustains itself. This is where I kind of see people failing with weight loss right out the gate, and that's just looking at things as these short-term sprints, you know, a hard month, a hard 3 months of dieting, and then it's over. Whereas they should just kind of be looking at this as a long-term, sustainable lifestyle change. If your current diet plan is only sustainable for 3 months before you're completely mentally fatigued, you just don't want to do it anymore, then as soon as those 3 months are over, you're going to start gaining the weight back, and this whole process is going to kind of end up being for nothing. Instead, you want to shoot for something that doesn't really feel like a diet at all. And I know that's way easier said than done, but I'm going to give you some ways to kind of help you achieve that. And the first thing, something we already talked about at the start of the video, which is to keep your deficit relatively small. So a 250 calorie deficit, you're not gonna feel in terms of the energy loss or feeling like you're not getting enough food day to day. You're gonna have to stay on top of it, obviously, to make sure that deficit is in play. But a 250 calorie deficit compared to, the 500 calorie deficit or up feels pretty much like normal. Those 500 calorie deficits and up is when you'll start to feel the energy loss, you'll feel sluggish day to day, and you just won't feel yourself, which isn't sustainable in the long term. The other thing we can do here in terms of sustainability and making this not feel like a diet is actually not swearing off entire food categories for ourselves. Listen guys, we're all human, and saying we're gonna swear off, donuts or whatever your favorite indulgent might be for a given period of time is realistically not gonna happen, and if it does happen, you're just gonna be miserable during that time and wishing you weren't doing what you were doing. So instead, we just get smart with things. We don't limit ourselves, we get smarter with how we're doing things. If we have a party coming up, we know there's gonna be a lot of, junk food per se. There, we just start banking calories earlier in the week. Maybe we make our deficit, 350 calories instead of 250 calories. Bank some extra calories in the beginning of the week. We hit the party and we don't really have to worry too much about stressing about counting calories, about stressing about feeling bad about ourselves for eating a certain type of food, and we just get to enjoy life a bit more instead of just restricting and restricting and restricting. Constantly depriving yourself of things you enjoy is a great way to end up bailing on a diet. And if I'm just being real with you guys, it's not a real good way to be living your life. live a little, then calmly and coolly assess things and figure out what you need to do to make your weight loss goals meet in the end while still enjoying the things you enjoy. Your diet doesn't end just because you ate a donut, or just because you had some ice cream with friends, or you went out and enjoyed a large dinner with friends. Your diet doesn't have to end just because one thing, went wrong. Okay, on to tip number 2, and this is always a fun one to talk about. You don't need to cut carbs out of your diet. Now straight away, this isn't gonna be me dissing the keto diet. If that's working for you, you're feeling good, keep doing you. However, for the vast majority of people out there, they don't really want to cut carbs out of life, but they're surrounded by media outlet after media outlet telling them that carbs are the devil. And here's the thing, carbs are our body's #1 choice of where we get energy from. So let that soak in for a second. So I honestly have no idea how the war on carbs even started in the first place, but realize how ludicrous it is to say, that #1 source of energy for your body, don't eat that. So going back to how our bodies prefer carbohydrates for energy, this is kind of how things pan out. First thing will happen is our body will deplete its glycogen stores, which is basically just stored up glucose, turn that glucose into ATP, which is just science for energy, and that's the very first thing that'll happen. Once we run down our glycogen stores, our body do have a ability to burn up fat, turn that into glucose, and turn that into ATP. It just doesn't prefer to do that. So first thing that prefers is burning up that glycogen, burning up that glucose into ATP. Once that's gone, we'll start to burn up our fat. If we find ourselves in a starvation type situation, our bodies also have the ability to break down proteins, aka our muscles, into the sugars it needs to produce ATP. However, it really does not like doing this. That is a last-ditch effort. It's basically your body doing anything it can to keep you alive and keep you moving. So while your body is capable of doing this process and burning fats sounds appealing, you're going to feel very off while this process is going on. Or at least most individuals are going to feel very off while this process is going on, just from a lack of glucose in your bloodstream. Your blood sugars are going to be super low. Now that being said, that you do want the carbohydrates in your diet, what's kind of the main pitfall and why do people demonize carbs so much? Coming at it from a realistic point of view, the only logical way you can kind of demonize carbs is the fact that you can eat a lot of them and not feel full. I'd say that's the main pitfall to carbs, is you can kind of keep eating, and it's not gonna leave you as satisfied as something like, a protein, whey protein shake or a chicken breast is going to leave you satisfied for a little bit longer. Carbs you can kind of just keep piling through without getting too full too fast and just accrue a large amount of calories. And all we have to do to address that is just keep an eye on how many of our calories are coming from carbohydrates each day. We know we need those carbohydrates in our diets to feel energized, to not feel sluggish, but we also know that we can eat a bunch of them without feeling full. So we kind of use other foods like those proteins to make ourselves feel full, and then we'll eat the carbohydrates on top of that to kind of keep our energy levels in check. And this topic kind of rolls us into tip number 3, which is to make your calories count. The phrase "a calorie is a calorie" is a slightly dangerous pitfall. So 200 calories a donut and 200 calories a chicken breast are essentially going to have the same effect on your weight loss goals. It's essentially true. We're making a lot of donut references today. You could theoretically lose weight eating solely donuts as long as your calories were in a deficit each and every day. Now, low-key, you're gonna die and you're probably gonna feel like garbage your day to day, but it would work. So where they differ is 1, the chicken's gonna leave you feeling more full and satisfied, and then 2, you'll also be able to eat more of the chicken but still eat the same amount of calories as the donut. So that's kind of how you want to be thinking with your calories. 1, is this going to leave me full and satisfied for a long period of time? And 2, am I going to be able to eat a large amount of this without accruing too many calories? Good options for this are obviously your proteins, so they will take a bit longer to digest, they'll stay with you a bit longer, and you won't feel like you have to eat as much. Now, another obvious example here would be vegetables. You can kind of eat a large amount of these, not accrue too many calories, and it will help you with those feelings of satiety and just not feeling you have to eat more and more food. Pit holes here are gonna be those sugary and sweet objects which they'll digest super quickly, and you can kind of roll through a bunch of them, accrue a whole bunch of calories without even kind of noticing it. So those are the things you kind of got to stay on top of. And that's about it for today's video, guys. Hopefully those tips help. I know that's not everything and anything to do with weight loss, but I'm hoping these first few tips here do help you out and do help you kind of get started if you're going for a weight loss goal. Don't worry though, I definitely will be making more videos on this topic in the future. It is something I'm super passionate about because I know so many people are kind of struggling with this battle and it is a big goal for themselves, so I want to help out as many people where that is the case as I possibly can. Again, I hope this helped you guys. That's it for the video. Thanks so much for checking it out, and thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you guys all in the next video. I'll see you guys.